of the rampant outdoor drug use and crime throughout downtown Seattle, businesses are going to stay away.
Lead began as a way to deal with drug crime on the streets.
Police here are cracking down on crack dealers.
Its origins go back to the crack epidemic of the 1990s.
The downtown area was infested with drug users, pill sellers, shoplifters, individuals who are out there to buy stolen items, and many of the citizens were just tired.
Drug dealers hawking their wares on a street corner. This scene on a Seattle street is a familiar one.
At any given time, you could literally see 50 or 60 people smoking crack or doing hand-to-hand exchanges.
But there was a war on drugs in the sense that we took a militarized approach to busting people that were using drugs.
Yep, we did. If you're using open-air drug trafficking or you're using drugs in public, you're going to get charged.
Today, sweeping arrests all over Seattle, street sales of cocaine, crack.
The problem was that in a predominantly white city, most of those arrested were black.
This block right here has always been a hot spot. On this block, there were
A hard-charging public defender accused the police of racial bias. Lisa Dugard.
There was a lot of hostility towards you coming from the police. A lot of beat cops.
That's an understatement.
A lot of beat cops didn't like you.
A lot of everyone throughout the hierarchy didn't like me.
Open it up! Open it up!
The police in Seattle are facing racially charged criticism.
Now, get out the door.
A new study claims officers are 4 times more likely to arrest black dealers than whites.
The tension with the police escalated as Dugard pressed her case.
We're talking about hundreds, if not thousands, of cases that these officers have been involved in that could be.
We were in the middle of this seemingly endless round of litigation. And one day we just sat down, Lisa and I and a police lieutenant from the Seattle Police Department, and she said, well, we just want the police to have another option, to take somebody to treatment. And that's when the Seattle Police Lieutenant said, well, that's what we want too. And by putting down the law books and sitting down and looking at each other, we realized that we could work together and accomplish a lot, that the courts could not fix this problem.
We're also looking at deploying some of our resources elsewhere.
For several years, the prosecutor, the police, and the public defender debated possible solutions.
Different members of the community to help us, drive the crime rate down.
It all came together when they agreed on one thing, that police should be given more options at the point of arrest.
There are going to be crimes, and that means that the police are going to be there one way or another, and we had to figure out how, working from that point of contact, everything could turn out very differently.
Any weapons? Any drugs?
This was the first program that actually said, no, we're going to start with a law enforcement-led program that intervenes at the time of arrest.
I'll explain it to you.
We're not going to put people through the entire system and spend all of the resources to prosecute them. We're going to try to move the intervention back a little bit on that timeline and try to see if we don't get better outcomes.
Come on.
So to those who look at the LEAD program and say, what are they doing? They're decriminalizing the use of heroin and meth and crack cocaine.
What LEAD has done is to turn the moment of arrest into an intervention. It has shown us another way for people who are severely addicted, who could use some help, that giving them that help actually makes the community safer, and it's more effective and it's cheaper than just going in and arresting people.
You spent your whole career being a prosecutor, enforcing the law, putting people away, and suddenly you're going to say, no, that was all wrong. It is a big switch.
There's an old saying that just because wisdom is slow to arrive doesn't mean you should reject it when it does.
LEAD was officially rolled out in 2011, and an unprecedented experiment in American drug policy was born.
Police and the FBI are calling it one of the city's biggest drug busts ever.
200 undercover buys, heroin, meth, and cocaine taken off the street, and dozens of suspects arrested. However, many may never see the inside of a prison. Instead, a bulk of these suspects will be allowed to enter a crime diversion program where they'll receive drug treatment and opportunities for things like housing rather than a felony conviction.
It wasn't long before the program was in the national spotlight.
The University of Washington study found LEAD has been remarkably successful,
showing a drop in repeat offenses from people who enter the LEAD program.
It was also being replicated across the country.
Santa Fe's 3-year pilot program. It's known as LEAD, and Albany is just the third city in the country.
Washington, D.C. took notice. In July 2015, the team was invited to the Capitol to talk about the lessons of their 4-year experiment.
It's been a remarkable day, and I first of all need to do a shout out to my favorite public defender, Lisa Dugard. I think that it created a lot of momentum. We got a lot of people excited about it, and I can sense that the administration wants to use their last 18 months or so as a way to shine the spotlight on criminal justice reform issues.
And the reason we know it works is because people come into my office every day and say, Officer Mills, I have cocaine in my pocket. Will you please arrest me and put me in your program?
Fundamentally, it is a program in which individuals...
They also shared the results of a study produced by the University of Washington, which found that LEAD participants have a 58% lower likelihood of being arrested than addicts outside of the program.
LEAD participants do shoplift. Some LEAD participants do engage in other low-level property crime, and occasionally in serious crime. It's just that they do that a lot less frequently than people who are not in LEAD, who started out in the same situation.
And that's what the University of Washington study showed.
Yes.
But does LEAD help participants reduce their drug use? A new study will soon be released.
Hello.
We came back to Seattle.
How are you?
Christina was 3 months into the program. She wasn't taking advantage of LEAD's services and had missed most of her appointments with her case manager.
6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16. Can I just get like 2 beds? Right now, I think I'm kind of like at a standstill. The reason why I'm not going to treatment right now is because I don't want to let myself down and everyone else down. I'm always so busy and hectic and sidetracked, and my mind's in a million different places. Yeah, but I mean, I already gave you guys 2 bags. Like my parents ask me why I don't put my all into getting clean. Wait, what? And it's really not that I don't want to. It's really just that I'm not there yet. But you need to pay me back 20, so that leaves you with 60.
Her days were busy dealing drugs. She was still doing heroin and relying on meth to keep her going.
Because I've got a few people that need something. Hola.
Christina had met a dealer who she said cut her a good rate.
If I wasn't dealing, I'd probably be living dime bag to dime bag. Like paycheck to paycheck, you know?
She was buying a ball of heroin, about 3 grams, and selling it at a profit. The money from the sales allowed her to consume even more drugs.
Adios.
Seeking treatment was not a priority.
Hey, Fro! How was it?
Do you think jail would be the solution for you?
Literally, that makes me panic so bad that I would probably have a heart attack. Jail is the worst place on earth. I wouldn't wish jail on my worst enemy.
Have you ever called the cops on her and said, I'm just going to throw her in jail?
I've wanted to lots, but putting her in jail doesn't do anything to treat her addiction. It's a completely negative experience. She's not out harming people. She's doing something that people have decided is illegal and not a health issue, and so she winds up being a criminal when she's not actually a criminal. The thing that the LEAD program does for her is it keeps her out of jail, basically. But if you're not tackling the root issue, then what are you really accomplishing? I can only kind of hope that she finds a resource within herself and pulls herself out of it. It's been going on for a long time. I had a thing on NPR today about some guy who's gone viral because he went on his Facebook and was talking about his daughter that died at 24.
I'm not gonna die.
Well,
I'm not gonna die.
You can't guarantee
Dad, I will not let this thing kill me.
something is accidentally can happen to you.
What is accidentally gonna happen? You can't live life thinking like that. You just can't. I've never OD'd.
Twice last year, she was hospitalized with life-threatening illnesses directly related to her drug use, and was still getting high in the hospital, and then was getting kicked out of the hospital because she was using in the hospital. And I would have thought that would be a wake-up call. That didn't get her to change her behavior.
Why is she doing this?
I don't know that I fully understand it. All I can kind of do is love her as much as I can and help her as much as I can.
I will not find myself at 50, with the needle in my arm.
I shared with you last night.
You didn't? We shared our rinses together.
No, I prefer the shot. You have a little kid.
Oh, that's my case manager.
It would be impossible for them to come themselves.
I can't answer that right now. I know everybody thinks they're special. I know everybody thinks they're different. And maybe it's just a lie that I have to tell myself just to make myself feel better. And I'm only 20, almost 21. So it's how much longer is it going to take? And how many times more is it going to be until I actually get it?